Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting event hosted by us here at Circuit Stream. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for this XR Development with Unity open house. Before we get started, I just want to do a audio check and a video check. Make sure everything's good. If you guys can give me a thumbs up to let me know that my audio as well as the presentation slides are coming through. That would be great. Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. Hello, hello. Perfect. So we have a lot of people joining us today. So while we wait for everyone to get into the session, I want to do some housekeeping items. As you guys already know, there is a chat section here. Make sure to utilize this section. Throw in your LinkedIn. We're all like-minded people here interested in XR. So this is a great place for you guys to meet new people, connect to new and exciting people. So make sure to utilize that. Also, we have a questions tab as well. Make sure to post your questions in that tab. We're going to have our amazing guest speaker answer these questions live at the end of this session. And then lastly, throughout the session, I will put in some polls in the polls tab. Make sure to participate in those as well, as it helps us a lot when we're putting together these awesome events for you guys. Now, a reminder that this session is recorded, and everyone who registered will receive a recording of the session through email. Now, I want to get right into this. I'm going to do a brief introduction of myself here. My name is, oh, sorry about that. Let's go back here. My name is Roham. I go by Ro. I'm a senior enrollment advisor here at Circuit Stream. I have 7+ years of experience working in business development as well as customer service. In the previous life, I used to be a semi-pro soccer player, or for those of us not in North America, football player, but that's a long, long time ago. For today's session, we have a very special guest for you guys. Monday is a Circuit Stream XR development with Unity, as well as our boot camps alumni. He's a production engineering manager at Bungie, which is a privately owned game development studio known for huge franchises like Halo, Destiny, and Myth. He's also a passionate XR developer, and fun fact for you guys, in his free time, he likes to crush Spartan obstacle races. We'll ask him about that a little bit further into the session. But just to give you guys a brief kind of agenda of today's session, we're going to have a 10 to 15-minute introduction, and then we'll invite our guest speaker, Monday, up on stage to have a discussion with him. He has some presentation slides for you guys about his XR journey. I have some questions prepared that I will ask him as well. And then after that, we'll give him a little bit of a break. We'll do a wrap up and share some resources, and then we'll bring him back on stage to answer your questions live. Now, who is Circuit Stream? Well, we're an education company founded back in 2015 when our founders noticed the gap in personalized training and education space in the immersive technology or XR industry. To date, we've supported over 40,000 individual learners in XR and in Unity. These learners have taken part in our various workshops and courses over the years, and this is really a milestone that we're extremely proud to have reached. What we have at Circuit Stream is a global team of industry experts who are passionate about accelerating the AR and VR industry through education. Now, we have team members and instructors all over the world, which also helps us accommodate students across multiple time zones and locations. Circuit Stream is also a Unity training and channel partner. Now, partners of Unity are approved based on their expertise, focus on quality education, and on the demonstrated success of their students. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Unity, they have created one of the most extensive and robust development engines on the market, which we'll shed some more light on very shortly. I do want to mention that our instructors maintain the highest level of certification offered by Unity. We have an academic portfolio of free online workshops and open houses and webinars like today's, and also a variety of courses that we offer, which are all designed to help students learn how to build VR, AR content in Unity. And these courses are mainly for beginners, but we can help more intermediate or advanced students or teams through our one on one sessions or team training offers as well. Now, if you're looking for XR specific training, we have our XR development with Unity course for developers, which is going to be the main focus of today's session. We also have our interaction design and prototyping for XR course for all of the design oriented people in the room today. We also have recently revamped our Unity Game Development Boot Camp. It used to be called the Unity Developer Boot Camp. It used to be 24 weeks and not beginner friendly, but after the revamp, it is now 30 weeks. It's called the Unity Game Development Boot Camp. And the best part is that it is beginner friendly. It is still live online and it helps you to prepare for a successful career in 3D development. And this is by far the most extensive program we've ever offered. Now, one question we always get is who have we actually worked with? Well, we've trained teams and professionals for some of the largest organizations in the world, such as Apple, Meta, Hershey's, and even the US Navy, to just to name a few. And we do work with organizations big or small, right down to the individual learner. Now, I'm also proud to announce that we are working with some of the world's most prestigious universities to offer our education programs. All of our programs, including the XR development with Unity course, as well as the interaction design and prototyping program, as well as our boot camp, are all offered by the universities that you see on screen right now. We are also launching new partnerships with more schools in 2023, so stay tuned for those. Now, what exactly is Unity? If you've seen this interface before, then you're most likely already familiar with Unity. And if you've seen this muffin clicker game on screen, then you've probably been through our C Sharp scripting fundamentals course. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Unity, Unity is a free development engine. It's a program that can be used to create both 2D and real time 3D content, which would include augmented reality as well as virtual reality. Now, in our opinion, Unity is definitely the program most beginner friendly if you're looking to begin your XR journey and begin making your own XR applications. Now, we know that Unity is used to create over 60% of the world's AR and VR content, and it's also responsible for an enormous share of the broader content and application market. Now, like anything, these applications all start with an idea. From there, you need to build your assets and bring them into Unity and create an immersive interaction using the C Sharp programming language. Once you're happy with your build, you need to leverage an SDK or software development kit to ensure that your target device is compatible with your build. Once you've done that, you can render and publish your app, and you've got an application. Now, that will conclude my portion or the initial introductory portion of the presentation. I'd like to remind everyone in the audience that we will be recording the open house and that everyone who signed up to join us today will receive the recording through email. Now, without further ado, I'd like to take this time to invite Monday up on the stage. It's an honor and privilege to have him join us today. Monday, are you there?
I'm here. I guess microphone check, video check. Can you hear and see me?
Yes, we can. Welcome, welcome.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. No, it's exciting to be here. I always like doing like the open house talks because, I was the person viewing them. Well, I guess now it's been over a year, but like a year ago, I was the one viewing them. So it's great to come full circle. So thank you for the invite.
No problem at all. We definitely appreciate you being here. I think this is going to be a very informative and a great session for everyone who joined us today. Students that are thinking about our programs. It's always great to, get that student perspective and someone who's walked the walk essentially. So thank you for providing that opportunity for all of us.
Absolutely. And I will go ahead and share my slides then.
Perfect. I will go off the screen here and you can go ahead and share yours and I'll be back.
All right. Boom. Maybe not. Okay. There we go. Just one slide ahead. So cool. So everybody in the chat, Ro did a great job introducing me. But for anyone that missed it, my name is Monday. If you want to try to tackle my last name is pronounced Atuanu. Um, and I wear a bunch of different hats. So my current career, I'm a senior production engineering manager with Bungie, which is like a dream come true, and I still wake up every morning not believing that like I work in game dev, because again a year ago I was not in game dev. But I've also gone through the XR dev course, I've gone through the C# programming course, and I just finished the Unity bootcamp course. So I'm like a circuit string junkie at this point. I can't get enough of it. um, my background, I always like to start off with that, is nothing to do with XR, nothing to do with game development. I actually went to school for biology and chemistry and worked as a professional food chemist. And then I went back to school for public health and management. So I have all the project management acronyms that you could want. I have the PMP, I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt, so very like management focused. And essentially woke up one day and was looking at games and playing games, and then it hit me that like I want to make games, and started pursuing that more and more. And I'm a VR enthusiast, so I need to change my fun fact. So maybe we can switch to this one. But I'm to the point at this instance in my life where I plan my vacations around what VR experience can I experience like in those places. So most people plan vacations around like food, or we're going to go see a waterfall or go on this nature hike. And I'm like, okay, great, we're going to Seattle. What cyber cafe can I go to that has a VR setup? Or if they have the VR roller coaster or the VR skydiving, like, let me do that. I'm just like, I want to soak in so much of this like VR and like watching people develop and expand it. So yeah. So really what I wanted to talk actually, what I wanted to talk with you all today is really just like my XR journey with Circuit Stream, and really focusing on XR dev. So kind of my journey on like where I was when I started, kind of why I chose Circuit Stream and XR Dev, and then really ending out with like some tips for you all, whether you decide to do XR Dev, decide to do design and prototyping. If you want to jump headfirst in the deep end and do the Unity Developer Bootcamp, I love that program, and I think especially now that it's beginner friendly, that's a great place to start as well. But really just consolidating all of my thoughts into like three tips that I wish I would have like taken for myself or somebody would have gave me at the beginning of my journey. So a little bit about my journey. If you're not a Game of Thrones fan, I'm sorry that this quote is going to go over your head, but I like to call my XR journey like an I know nothing Jon Snow realization. So I like to think myself as a very smart person. And so when I first decided that I wanted to start making my own games and really try to do like VR development, I had this great idea that I'm going to make a game and I'm going to put it on the App Store, and Oculus is going to pick us up and Meta is going to pay me, and all these great things are just going to happen. And the idea is great. And, I was like utilizing my background in like management to really make sure I mapped out my idea and I had my strategy and my board planning. And then I got introduced to C# programming. And I literally felt like I was looking at the screens from the Matrix trying to figure out where's the lady in the red dress and all these lines of ones and zeros. Um, it made no sense to me, especially coming from like a non computer science background. So I struggled quite a bit. So I did what most people did. I went to YouTube tutorials, and when I was watching those YouTube tutorials, I was getting to the point where I could make what the tutorial was telling me to make. But then when I would try to develop on my own, I was back to square one of like, I have this great idea and I think I know how to do it, but it's not working. And I don't know why it's not working. which overall just led to frustration. It led me to the realization that what I needed was a program that would not only show me how to do the ideation, show me how to do C# programming, give me some sort of lecture structure where I'm learning by like examples and there's modules and different videos that I can watch. But I need somebody to explain this to me. Like, I don't have the background, and just watching a video is not going to give me that understanding. Um, which kind of led into why I chose Circuit Stream. So of course our phones have ears, our TVs have ears. So as I talked with like my friends and my family and my wife more about it, Circuit Stream just kept popping up on my feed. And it was really just, you know, this is our program. These are the things that we offer. So I finally got the courage one day to just ask them, like, hey, can I schedule some talk with the enrollment team to learn more about the program? And that first discussion that I had with Circuit Stream was just unbelievable. They were super helpful, super informative. For anybody that's already talked with the enrollment team, or really anybody from Circuit Stream, I mean, the personal relationship that you build very early on with like the corporate side or the business side of Circuit Stream is just very unbelievable. And I really felt like they cared about like my idea and why am I choosing to do this and how they can help with my journey. And they won't push you. Most boot camps and programs are all about like, okay, by the end of this call, we want you to sign up for a program. We want you to pay for the program, or let's just put your credit card on file and we won't charge you now. We'll charge you at X time. And Circus Stream said none of that. They actually invited me to go to some of their free workshops. They invited me to talk with different members of their team, to talk with some of their instructors. So it just felt more of like the culture that I wanted to be a part of. So I took them up on their offer. I joined a free workshop. I remember it completely because it was the Build Your Own Pokemon Go augmented reality app, and Nakisa led that workshop, and I was blown away. Nikisa, for anybody that has met her or anybody that may meet her in the future, she is the pun queen. So she will have you laughing throughout your whole session. And she just made it a very lighthearted environment, but she was still like engaging with the learners in that participation in that class. So as people had questions, they were coming off of mute, they were putting questions in chat, and she was stopping her demonstration to like answer those questions and make sure everybody was moving along at the same pace, which you often don't get with live lectures. They're just about like, we need to get from point A to point B in 30 minutes. So buckle up and let's go. And Nakisa was very adamant that she wanted everybody to leave that workshop with a Pokemon Go app. And for me, somebody who had never even attempted to build anything in augmented reality, like by the end of it, I had a Pokemon Go app and there was a monster on my desk and I could throw a ball at it. And when the ball hit the monster, it disappeared. And it blew my mind that like, if I can learn how to do this in an hour, imagine what I'll be able to do if I spent 10 weeks with these people and then get introduced to the community. Um, and then of course Circus Stream has so many industry connections that Ro was talking about. And so I like saw the future in the forest in between the trees. And I was like, I need to be a part of this. Um, and the biggest thing was that Circus Stream always focuses on the learner. So the learner, the participant, you all in the audience, the potential learners, everything that Circuit Stream puts in place and is constantly changing and making sure that you have resources available is for the learner. Case in point, the boot camp went from 24 weeks to 30 weeks because we wanted to make sure that that boot camp was beginner friendly. We added in additional 6 weeks, and it just shows that like this is a company that already has set in stone, and they're very like well known in the industry for what they do, but they're not settling for like, oh, this is what we do, so this is what we're always going to do. They're going to learn and grow with the industry. And so I made the decision to join Circuit Stream and went through their XR Dev in November of last year. So right around this time last year. So it's again crazy that like so much has happened in a year. I went through XR Dev, and like I said, I have not looked back. So what XR Dev looked like for me was um, you go in and essentially XR Dev is broken into three sessions. You have your 3D development, your VR, and your AR development. But right off the back on day one, you were leaving with actual content. Day one, I think, is make a robot challenge. And so you learn about a 3D space and the Unity engine, and it's just like make a robot, and your robot can be three blocks stacked on top of each other. We have some participants who make their version of R2D2 or C3PO. I think we had a chicken robot at one point, but it's all just 3D shapes. And so for me, who was coming in and I didn't know anything at first about like 3D development or any kind of modeling, to know at the end of the day, like I just made a robot and I understand how I made that robot. It was like already blowing my mind. Um, the instructors were always available to answer questions, even during the class. Like I was saying, like they would pause the class to answer questions and really take the time to answer those questions. And it was collaborative. So the people that were in XR Dev with me, I'm still in contact with some of them. We're actually working on a large project together, and you just build that relationship. And it's like I have friends from around the world that I've never met, but we all took the class. We've engaged with each other, so it's been great. Um, I did want to throw the disclaimer out there that C sharp kicked my butt for quite a while. So I talk about it a little bit more in my tips, but if you've never done C sharp programming or any type of programming before, it's truly like learning a new language. So for anybody that's taking like high school Spanish or high school French, like ask the question, do you speak French or Spanish right now? And if the answer is no, like it's that kind of difficulty. Like you are learning a new language that has its own rules and syntax. Um, so it kicked my butt, but I was able to utilize, the office hours for instructors. I was a plus pack learner, so I did my one-on-one sessions, community and peer support. So I reached out for help. And then at the end of each course, the instructors give you like, hey, if you want to read more about this, here's some additional documentation. Here's some challenges that you can practice to reinforce the knowledge base. And then you can always go back to like those YouTube tutorials. So if you learn about how to do like prefab creation within a game, like, and it didn't make sense in the class, at least now you know when you watch that YouTube, you know the syntax, and so you can just understand the content more. Um, and so coming out of XR Dev, I actually had around 5 portfolio pieces that were actually pieces that you make throughout the XR Dev class. So anybody that has questions about like what would my portfolio look like taking this, like you make 5 portfolio pieces. Like they might not be 100% done, but they're to the point where you're showcasing the skill set that you need for like to break into the industry. And I actually had 3 personal projects as well in development. And I do have a video. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the audio, but I wanted to show you all a few of my projects that I was working on at that time. Um, and I'll just jump around because it's kind of long. So, one of the first projects that I worked on for the job that I had at the time was a VR lab training simulation. So, coming from my hospital background with hospital management, one of the things that we were really focusing on was how can we lower the cost of training people and having people like off the floor to be like trainers instead of doing work. And so I had the idea that we should do VR training and could not do it myself. And I think I made this project week 6 of the XR Dev Bootcamp. So this is one of our training SOPs from my hospital that I worked at about PCR extraction. So I was able to go in and make a 3D model of one of our machines and then build in all these VR interactions following the SOP that you see changing on the screen as you interact with those different elements. So all of this was made with pretty low code. So you learn about XR Interaction Toolkit in XR Dev, which makes developing an XR extremely easy if you understand it. And so this was actually like the first ever project I did during XR Dev was like this whole training simulation. Pitched it to the company I was with at the time. They loved it. They actually adopted it, and I built out more modules for them. Even though I'm not with them, they still use it, at least to my knowledge. Um, the next project that I made closer to the end of XR Dev, when we learned about more about VR and I wanted to do multiplayer networking, was a VR nightclub. And really, this project was to challenge the idea that like at the time, now Meta has announced full body avatars, even though a lot of companies have done it. But I wanted to create full body avatars in a very large shared space during COVID. So that way me and my friends could hang out. So I thought, what better environment than the club? So with this, you have a full body avatar that actually animates as you move. Um, there's interactable elements. So like you can pour water out of glasses, you can throw the bottles, you can actually change the music of the main nightclub, which is that UI panel you saw at first. And then each area of the nightclub actually has its own music. The characters interact differently, but it was great. And then this is like my most recent project, which actually I need to update this with. a better idea of it, but it was Project Spartan. So this was something that we started in the boot camp, but I learned a lot of how to do this in XR Dev. And this just takes us through like so many different gameplay mechanics. So you have like character selection, you have UI panels that are constantly there, enemy interactions, bigger scale world designs, how to instantiate objects, how to calculate like real-time calculations of like score mechanics. Um, we even talk through like some of the stuff here. You can build out skill trees in it. We did weapon cache interactions. So just a ton of different things for this project. And all of these are on my YouTube channel, which I share the link for at the end. So I have like Project Spartan already doesn't look like this anymore. So if you want to see what it looks like, check out my YouTube channel because it's crazy what it looks like now. So kind of in conclusion, my advice to you all, whether you're joining XR Dev, if you decide to do design and prototyping, or if you want to jump into the boot camp, three pieces of advice to you all. Number one, give yourself time to learn and explore. So you're going to go through the class, and each module is going to have like their own set of objectives or things that you're supposed to learn, at least for the curriculum of the course. But don't make that the only thing that you do. Like really dedicate some time outside of the course to like learn more about these topics and explore it from your own point of view. It's very easy to kind of get into the gamification of Unity development and XR development, but like challenge yourself, like if you would normally make a game, maybe make a training simulation or make something where it's just a room of like objects that interact differently based off of what you do, or vice versa. But really explore XR development and explore Unity, because that's how you learn how to do different techniques or to like train your brain to think about things differently, which just helps your projects in the long run. The next one, like I was saying, C sharp is tough, so don't expect to get it on your first try. Um, it's tough. It's frustrating for anybody that's programmed before. Think back to your first code that you did, which for most of us, it was hello world code that you have to do as like the rite of passage. But C sharp is tough. And there's always going to be something that you didn't know. There's always going to be some new iteration or optimized way to do it. So don't expect to get it working on your first try, but also don't give up. Which kind of takes me into my last point. Ask questions. Do not suffer in silence. It was one of the things that I did for like the first 3 weeks. And as soon as I started asking questions, I started getting answers. Things started making sense, and like everything just got better. So definitely ask questions. Everybody in XR Dev for the most part is going to be starting off at kind of the same place. So 9 times out of 10, if you have a question, somebody else has that exact same question. And whether you ask it or they ask it, nobody's going to get an answer if we all decide to suffer in silence. One of the best things about Circuit Stream is the community. When you become a Circuit Stream learner, you get added to Discord, and there's like a ton of channels in Discord, and everybody's engaging. We have a showcase channel, we have help channels, we have job channels. So ask questions, be involved in the community, because that's like the biggest strength of Circuit Stream. And that's my presentation. So again, thank you all for having me. I love doing these meet and greets and these open houses because, like I said, I was in you all's step like literally a year ago, probably to the date if I really wanted to look back. And, the open house like this and talking with the different people and meeting people that have gone through the journey and seeing where they're at now is really what made me choose Circus Stream. I have a personal piece of my heart that's dedicated to XR Dev because I started at XR Dev and I love it the most. Design and prototyping is good. I haven't done it yet, but XR Dev to me is like my bread and butter. Um, but yeah, if you want to get connected with me, I threw my LinkedIn in the chat already, but I also post all of my project updates pretty regularly to my Instagram, XR Journey, and then my YouTube channel is called XR Journey as well. So if you just want to stay up to date on like some of my projects or look at some of the projects I've worked on in the past, you can definitely follow me there. And yeah, so Ro, I will let you come back on stage and take it away.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Monday. That was great. There's a lot of super beneficial information there. And again, just getting that point of view from a student's perspective just goes a long way when you're trying to make a decision in the world of XR that can be super confusing with all the different assets available online. So thank you for that. And like I
Absolutely.
mentioned, I like to kind of dig a little bit deeper into your career background and your experience. So as you were presenting, I prepared some questions. I know that we had some posted in the questions tab as well, which we'll get into at the end of the session. But one of the questions that came up that I thought would be interesting for us to know is, what was your first experience with XR?
Yeah, so my first experience was actually I think it's called not the climb, but like the plank or something, but it's the VR simulation where you're like at the top of the skyscraper and you have to walk across a piece of wood to like save the cat or something. Um, that was my first ever VR experience, and like watching people do it, I was just like, come on, like you're not even off the ground. Why are people freaking out or like crawling across the plank and stuff like that? So I was like completely skeptical. I was like, this VR thing is like not as like intense as people say it is. And then I put on the headset and it's like sensory. You can't tell your brain that it's not happening because that's all you see. And the place that I went to had like the sound effects and they had like wind blowing and everything like that. And I couldn't do it. And I like as soon as my wife saw that I couldn't do it, she was cracking up. And I think that was like the first time I was just like, this is awesome. One for games, like to be truly immersed in the game, like to feel like you are Kratos and you're playing God of War and you have his abilities. But then also I was looking at like at the time I was with the hospital, so looking at like this is how we could train people, this is how we could explain our business to potential clients or customers. Like you could give them the opportunity to be anywhere, to do anything just by putting on a headset. And I was like, I have to do this. I want to do this. Like, why would you not want to do this?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It's a weird experience for people who haven't tried it. I remember um, the first time I tried it, I was actually at home. I bought like a cheap VR headset, one of the first ones that came out, and the ones that your phone went in it and everything. I think it
Yeah,
was a Samsung one, yeah. Um, and I was trying it out, and same thing. At the time I was super young, so I was living with my parents, and my dad was kind of laughing at me and making fun of me, like, why are you acting this way? So I
yep,
got I got my parents to try it, and they started freaking out as well. It was the same type of thing, walking across two skyscrapers, and that's
yep,
when you don't really get it until you try it. So for anyone who hasn't tried it yet, it's an experience for sure. Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So the other question, I mean, you touched on how C# kind of kicked your butt, and it was, and historically based on all the feedback that we get, it is definitely the toughest part of the program. So I wanted to know, and I'm sure people have this question as well. How did you overcome the learning gap? Was there resources in the program that you used, or just things that you did personally to overcome that learning gap?
Yeah, I did a mix of both. So, like you were saying, there are a lot of resources within the program. Like there's I think every module you go to has additional documentation that you can look at, or they reference different like YouTube videos or documentation links that you can like go and explore in your own time. But more than anything, anybody that has talked to me or asked me for advice in the past has heard me say this, but like I call it you have to be like a weekend warrior or like a weekend XR developer. So one of the things that really helped me with C sharp is it's very easy to get stuck on like the really big idea that you want to do. Like I want to create this whole world or this whole game, but take that big idea and like break it down to as simple as you can. So like in order to create the world, I need to have a player that can hold an axe and swing an axe. So let me figure out how I can do C# programming so like my character can grab an axe and hold it and then it moves with the character. Um, so what I did is I would give myself 48 hours on the weekend to take some small aspect of a project from start to finish. And by doing that, it really helped me focus on like C#, like training my C# skills to really understand it because it wasn't something that I was going to be like, I'm not going to give up. It's not super broad. It's a very simple, direct thing. Like I want to hold a pickaxe or I want to be able to show player names over their head. Like in most games, they have like the nickname above the head or something like that. Um, And doing that, like, you'll be surprised at where you start and what you can do in 48 hours versus like what you can do maybe like a month later because your brain is in that mindset. And then repetition, like the more and more you practice C sharp, the easier it gets, just like anything else. So as soon as you get to the point where you're like, oh, okay, I can update a scoreboard on void update. And so like every time, like every second, it's always updating the score. Then you can start looking at like, oh, well, I can use a coroutine to do that. And then I can use a trigger to start that coroutine to do that thing. And then I can use like I can raise an event over the network to do a trigger to do this thing in a coroutine. And so it just builds on itself. But more than anything, give yourself the time. Don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to like practice. Visual Studio makes it a little easier because if you do something wrong, like the red squiggly line shows up, so you automatically know like, hey, this probably won't work the way you think it's gonna work. But it's all about just like trial and application and really like not giving up more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, practice makes perfect, right? So that's the key and everything including C sharp. So thank you for that. And the other thing I kind of wanted to get a little bit deeper on was you mentioned the circuit stream community, and
Mhm.
as a plus pack student, you had access to the one-on-one time with our instructors and experts. I wanted to know, in specific, when you think about your XR development with Unity journey and going through that program, how did the one-on-one time with instructors as well as the circuit stream community help you? And if, whether it's on the course material or any personal projects, things like that.
Yeah, really both. So I think at the beginning when I was struggling with C sharp, the one-on-one sessions gave me dedicated time with the instructors to like ask them those questions like, why doesn't this work? Or can you just elaborate on this more outside of class? Um, and honestly, at the beginning, I kind of had like imposter syndrome pretty bad. So I didn't want to ask questions during the session and be like the one person who's asking questions. So until I got my confidence up and felt more comfortable, it was a great way to still ask a question without feeling like I'm the dumb one in the room almost. Um, so that's what I use the one-on-one sessions for at first. And like with those, it's you dictate what the session is about. So I went in knowing like I need C sharp help, and I would say this is the problem I'm having, or this is the script that I'm working on. And we would spend that time diving into those topics. Like the instructors are really good about like your one-on-one is your one-on-one, and they're going to make sure they can help you with what you need help with. Um, but once I got it and really like so during the class, I connected with a few people in the circus stream community that I formed really strong bonds with. One of the people actually, he only lives an hour away from me. We just figured this out like last week. We've been talking for a year, but I continue to work with them. Like most of my personal projects that I work on, I still put it in the circus stream chat. Like, hey, I'm working on this project. If anyone's looking to like get some experience or to help out with it, like ping me. And they're always the first ones to like ping saying like, hey, we'll help. Hey, can we take a look at it? Or if nothing else, they'll play test with me if I get a project that's like ready to be play tested. So the community I still engage with. I still look at like the showcase and like the different posts, just like seeing what people are doing. Um, and then the one-on-one sessions after throughout the course, once I got more confident with C sharp, they turned into one-on-one sessions to talk about those personal projects. So when I was doing my VR nightclub, I used my one-on-one session to talk about photon networking and how to do full body rigging and animation. And then when I did a zombie tower defense game, and I wanted to know how to create like a character spawner that could keep count of how many zombies were on the map and could update the new scene. Like if you killed 50 zombies, you would go to the next level. And that interaction at the time wasn't making sense to me. So they helped me with that. So it really just evolved. But those one-on-one sessions are talk about whatever you need help with, whether it's a personal project or something with the coursework, which I thought was great. Like most of the time, if it's a one-on-one session, they're like, oh, but you can only use it for this, or you can only talk about that. And for these, it's like, I mean, you could throw those instructors something like completely left field, and they will try to help you as much as they can, which I thought was really, really beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we pride ourselves on. You know, the one-on-one times, they're really your time to use. There's no structure from our side in terms of, this is what it has, your questions has to fall within, whether it's a personal project, course
Hmm.
material, or just a conversation about XR and getting insight from an expert, whatever the case may be, you can use your one-on-one time for that. So thank you for that answer. And then last question, I promise, before I let you take a little break.
Yeah.
um, what would you say is the most beneficial skill you gained from the XR development? And also, what tips and suggestions do you have for anyone who's considering, XR dev or just learning XR development in general?
Yeah. So for me personally, I think the biggest skill that I got was like the development understanding. So I I'm definitely extremely lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones that like coming out of XR Dev, I was able to do a career change and got my job with Bungie. And throughout that interview process, it was so the job with Bungie was advertised as like 3 to 5 years of experience, but I was able to leverage what I knew about Unity development from taking this course to kind of bypass, like, hey, I don't have the experience, but coupled with my management and my understanding of development, I'm a great fit for this. And it worked out. But I think I got the confidence to have those conversations because I knew what I was talking about. And it was more than just like, I know the concept of doing these things. Like, again, throughout XR Dev, you have 5 portfolio pieces that show like, hey, I know how to do this, and here's like a space shooter game that shows I know how to do a 3D game, or here's an augmented reality piece that shows I know how to do like spatial manipulation or whatever it is. So I think that was probably the most beneficial thing that came out of it. I think my advice to anybody going in would be to really like most of the time you kind of already know like what your end goal is. So if you know your end goal is to like, I want to get a job in XR, start looking at like the people who have the job that you want on LinkedIn now and look at their skill set and some of the things they do or some of their projects and try to do those projects too. Like the gaming and every community is like, it's not, you don't want to completely steal somebody's project, but like GitHub exists for a reason. Like there's a ton of things that are public. So if somebody who works for, I don't know, Respawn, create one of their first projects was like I don't know, they did a whack-a-mole game. One of the things that you could try to strive to do is like, okay, during XR development, I want to be able to make a whack-a-mole game that looks similar to their game, but also maybe does these other things to show that I have the same skill set. So find your target and aim for it. Um, and then really more than anything, just like absorb as much as you can. Like you could go in thinking that like I know I want to be a VR developer, but like augmented reality might just like peak in your brain. And so all of a sudden like things change. But then you would be surprised, like mixed reality is the combination of VR and AR. So you might love them both. And maybe you want to do a mixed reality experience or a mixed reality job. So really just embrace it all and soak it all in.
Yeah, that's some great advice, and thank you very much for that. And yeah, I can see that questions are coming in the questions tab. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna do a little brief presentation with some additional resources and information and let you take a break before we invite you back on stage for to answer the audience's questions live. And again, thank you for being here. And yeah, I'll let you know. We'll call you back and we'll answer those questions. Thanks
Sounds
again.
good. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so if everyone could navigate over to the polls tab, I did throw in a couple of polls for you guys to participate in. It would be great if you could do that. And, while we go through this session, just keep in mind again, the questions tab is there. So throw in your questions. We'll have some time to answer them live. No problems at all. But I wanted to run through a bit of our course options and information before we invite Monday back up on stage. If you've enjoyed today's session and you're enjoying it, we'd love to have you continue your learning journey with us. my personal favorite part of hosting these open houses is to show off some of the amazing work that our students have created over the years, and also, the ability to speak with guest speakers such as Monday, who have a world of experience, who've walked that path that most people in this session today are looking to start. So, whether it's creating a unique Unity scene, building interactive AR experiences with Vuforia, or simply scripting mind blowing experiences. Ultimately, we'd love to help our students along their learning path and help them to achieve amazing things after the program. And on screen, you'll see just a few examples of our students who have gone through our programs and you've gone on to carve out a career in XR after learning with us here at Circuit Stream. Now, this is the course of the hour that we're all talking about, the XR development with Unity program. This is a beginner friendly 10-week project based program that is also live, online, and instructor led. You'll focus on making AR and VR applications in Unity with 3 hours of instruction per week, lifetime access to both the class recordings as well as the community channels that Monday was talking about. You also get 5 office hours per week. And with the plus package of this program, you also have the 10 hours of one on one time with our experts that can be used for both personal projects as well as course material. Now, the upcoming cohort for this program is on December 15th. As I mentioned earlier, this course is also available through our local university partners such as the University of British Columbia, University of Toronto, U San Diego, UC Riverside, and all the cohorts are also starting at the same time on December 15th. Now, we also have our interaction design and prototyping for XR program. This is also a beginner friendly 10-week instructor led program with the main focus being on designing experiences for AR and VR versus web and mobile applications. Much like the XR development program, you'll have 3 hours of instruction per week, lifetime access to both the class recordings as well as the community channels, as well as the 5 office hours per week, with the option for 10 hours of one on one time with our experts through the Plus package. Now, the upcoming cohort for this program is on December 12th. And much like the XR Dev course, this program is also available both directly through us as well as any of our university partners. And the cohort start date is the same for our university partners as well. Now, lastly, we have our amazing, now beginner friendly Unity game development boot camp, which will prepare you for a 3D development career, helps you build a portfolio of 10 plus projects. Our one on one career services helps ensure you make the right connections in the industry and help you make the best first impression on any potential employers. Now, I'm proud to announce that the boot camp is now available through our university partners as well as through us directly. And the next upcoming cohort for this 30-week program is on February 28th. Now, beyond the lessons themselves, we've also created a robust community of XR learners. Again, we had a brief chat about this and the benefits of having access to such community with Monday. All of our students and our alumni get lifetime access to all of the material and recordings of the classes, in addition to lifetime access to all the perks associated with our community as well. Now, our student experience coordinators, Lucy and Arki, run all kinds of awesome events and are dedicated to supporting our students and our alumni by facilitating extra office hours, support groups, demo days, and so much more to really help you guys make those right connections in the XR community. As Monday mentioned, Circuit Stream is a very well known organization within this industry. So having access to this community is just priceless, and it's something that you won't be able to find with the online videos and courses that are available on Udemy or other resources out there. Now, like I mentioned, there is no experience required for any of our programs. All of our programs are now beginner friendly, so beginners have no fear. Now, I'm sure that many of you are wondering about tuition prices for our courses, so I'm going to take a minute to kind of discuss the finances involved. We offer two different packages for both our XR development with Unity program as well as our interaction design and prototyping for XR program. So as you can see, the starter package, these are the full tuition prices, starts at 3,950, and the plus package starts at 4,950. And the prices you see on screen are in USD. And again, they represent our regular tuition prices. Now, a quick word on the university tuition. The starter and the plus pack are sold for the same price as you see on screen now. Our Canadian university partners process their tuition in Canadian dollars, but to access that pricing, you must live in the province where the partner is located. Now, for our boot camp, the full tuition price is $14,995 US. And now, for some very good news for those of you who are interested in signing up for our programs for a limited time until November 28th, we are offering a exclusive Black Friday pricing on all of our programs. We're offering a 15% discount. That's 1 5 on all the programs across the board. And in addition, if you enroll into our boot camp, you get access to our both our short courses, the UX design fundamentals for XR, as well as the C sharp scripting fundamentals course. Um, with our XR development with Unity program, you get free access to the C sharp scripting fundamentals course. These short courses are on demand courses, they're 40 hours long. They're the perfect start before you take your 10-week program or the boot camp just to get you guys prepared. Monday mentioned, for example, the coding was the toughest part of the program. So we've added this into our bundles so you can get that extra education on C Sharp to help you get over that learning curve. And then for our XR design program, we have the UX design fundamentals for XR. That's the perfect complement to the interaction design and prototyping for XR course. So please, if you are interested in these, just know that there are limited seats available. So if you would like to take advantage of this amazing offer, please reach out to one of our admissions members and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Now, on the topic of finances, we do offer payment plans for our boot camp as well as our 10-week courses, starter or plus package, and even on the discounted price if you take advantage of the Black Friday pricing. So if you prefer not to pay in full at once, you're more than welcome to take advantage of any of these plans. For our international students, we have financing options of 3, 6, 12, and 24 months. And the 24 months being for the boot camp. For our 10-week programs, we have 3, 6, and 12-month financing options. And then for our American students, we work with an external financing partner called Climb. We offer loans of up to 5 years for the boot camp and up to 20 months for our 10-week programs. Now on screen, you see our admissions team. I'm part of the admissions team as well. We're a little bit different than other companies. Monday mentioned this in his segment as well. We're different in the sense that we're extremely involved in the before, during, and after part of your registration process. We're here to help answer any questions you might have, whether it's about the program itself, about the finances involved, your learning and career goals, anything about Unity, VR, or AR devices. and so on. We really take the time to make sure that you have all the information that you need before pulling the trigger and making that commitment. And we understand that it's a big commitment. So we're here for you. You can reach out to us directly through our website or through a call or email if you've already connected with one of us previously. Now, feel free to head over to the learning page on our website or any of our affiliated partner websites to learn more about each of the courses, to download a syllabus, or to submit an application to enroll so that a member of our admissions team knows to reach out. So that will wrap up the presentation for today. At this point, I'd like to invite Monday back up on stage so we can get started with your questions here. Perfect. I see Monday is coming on. Hello again.
Hello, hello.
All right. Yeah, so I see we have quite a few questions again for those of us in the session. So bring them in. Ask your questions now or forever hold your peace. No, I'm kidding. You can reach out to one of us at any time and we'll answer those questions for you. All right, let's see. Let's start from the beginning. So we have a question from James Foreman. What are your art skills like? It's been a challenge for me, to be honest. So, uh,
Yeah, so this is it's I laugh because again, if anybody has worked with me, I openly say I am not an artist. Like I can bring it to life, but I can't design it. So my art skills, I'm a pretty good pen and paper sketcher. I trace really well, but when it comes to like 3D modeling, Maya and Blender, I tried to do the infamous Blender donut challenge and failed miserably. And yeah, I just don't. That's like one of the things that I know I'm not good at. So if I'm ever working on a project and I want like bespoke models or something like that, I will find an artist. But my art skills are not good.
I'm in the same boat. I think you're a little bit better than me. I can't even trace, so you're a step ahead of me there. Perfect. So, the next question we have, do you have any recommendations about how best to form relationships with fellow
Mm.
boot camp learners?
Yeah, so it's actually not as hard as you would think. So throughout the boot camp and through XR Dev, there's moments inside of those courses where you do group work, and the instructors kind of randomly put people in a group. So the strongest connections I have coming out of XR Dev were the people that I worked in like the game jam group with. Um, and then it just happened that like we all took the developer boot camp together and got put in another group together. So it just like worked out to our benefit. So it's not that hard to form relationships. But the other thing that you can do is just, be active in the chats. Like the Circus Room community is super active in Discord. So you can always just like engage with people that way. People are always talking about like, hey, I'm looking for help on a project. Does anybody want to jump in the game with me? For different conventions that are going on, worldwide, they always put in like, hey, I'm going to, I don't know, Metaverse Summit 2023 in San Francisco. Is anybody else going or does anybody live there? So there's a ton of opportunities. And it's really just about like, putting yourself out there kind of in the Discord channel. And then also seizing those opportunities that you have to connect with people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things with our community. There's so many different opportunities for you, whether it's, whether you're looking for making those connections, whether you're looking for people to get together, expand your portfolio, finding people
Mhm.
to test your projects. These are all the benefits of our community channels. We have a lot of
Absolutely.
students that look for any number of those things. So yeah, there's definitely not too hard, and we're there to help you out as well.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And then this one from Sylvia is about your role at Bungie. How
Oh yeah.
exactly is your role at Bungie? How does a normal job day look for you?
Yeah. So my role at Bungie is interesting because because of the group I work with, and it is the management level. So day to day, I'm in more planning meetings than I guess what in a dream world I would have liked to do. But again, I come from management, so I'm used to like the management meetings, the planning, sprint planning with project managers and everything like that. But since my group within Bungie is the production engineers, and they're kind of like spread across a lot of the different areas in Bungie. So I like members of my team work with the art team, might work with the world design team, the enemy combatants team, the engine team. I do get an opportunity to like see and connect with like all these different teams. Um, and I get to do like a good chunk of IC work. So as those teams have projects, they might say like, oh, we want to be able to test the new sound effects on this weapon. And so they might like ask my team to build like a test map for that. And I can pick that up and be like, oh, I'll build that test map. So it's a pretty, I guess if I was to like give it a percentage, I'm like 60% of my time I'm doing like normal management stuff, like planning, collaborating, connecting the dots between different groups. And then it's a like a 20-20 split between engaging with my team and doing like actual creation work, like game development work. So I like it. Again, I think it plays up to what I'm already like what I know I'm good at as a manager while still being able to feel like a game dev without being overwhelmed by being a game dev and like imposter syndrome is kicking in. It's like, wait, I don't know how to do all this stuff. Like I have this sense of like, I don't have to do all this. Like if it's something I can't do, I can tell my team to do it and then go back into manager mode.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that. And then we also have another question from Sylvia as well. Do you have a preference between VR and
Oh
AR?
yeah. I'm VR all the way. I love AR. I think right now we are not living our present isn't the future that we want it to be yet, where like AR is like easily adaptable and applicable to like everything. Mixed reality is getting a little bit better, but like true augmented reality is still like I feel like it's still in like the gimmick phase, like it's face filters and all this kind of stuff. But I love VR. I think VR has a wide range of applications. I think it's more user friendly right now, and the world we live in today, I think, is ready for VR. And us embracing VR will get us ready for AR, which will ultimately get us ready to like make mixed reality like an everyday thing. I think my dream is to like live in the world of Black Mirror. If anybody has seen that show on Netflix, where like everything is like just seamless. Like you touch your mirror and it tells you like your agenda and all these things just happen. And you put in your contacts and your contacts are already adapted to be augmented reality compatible. So you see like all the different things. But that's still very futuristic. So I'm a VR guy. I have 3 VR headsets. I'm trying to talk my wife into letting me get like the VR omnidirectional treadmill for Christmas because it's on sale. And I just love VR. I have a VR
Yeah.
haptic vest right there. That's what that is, like a haptic vest. So I love VR.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as well. VR is definitely my preference as well. Perfect. And then this one, this other question from Daniel is actually a pretty interesting one. How did you handle creating a personal brand when trying to get XR jobs?
Yeah. So I think that one falls more into the boot camp. So the boot camp, kind of what Ro was saying, does a really good job of saying like this is how you're going to be boot camp like Unity developer, but then this is also how you're going to do career. And in the boot camp on the career side of things, there's a huge emphasis on personal branding. What is your personal brand? What is your market? What is your product? Like all these different things that I was already thinking about it some of that way, because I've worked with it before, but until I went through the boot camp and really took a look at like just the XR industry and how people are branding themselves, I didn't really understand like how much of like that market is kind of already taken up, and you're almost like trying to fit in wherever you can. So like for me, I'm very much just starting my brand, my XR journey brand, and everything like that, and one of the things that I wanted to do was to almost take like what what allowed me to go from point zero to like where I'm at now. And it was being able to look at those YouTube tutorials, and not just tutorials, but like watching people build projects. So one of the things that I'm trying to do with my brand is really instead of like showcasing my project or showcasing like "Oh, I'm gonna teach you guys how to fire a gun in VR." I'm like, "Okay, let me show you how to make this project from start to finish. Let me show you how to make a VR Pac-Man, or Spartan." So I'm still working on, like, how that's gonna look. So, like, if you look at my content right now, like, don't judge me, I'm starting it. So you'll see a lot of, like, my most recent project, Project Spartan. But even with that, what I would love to do is, like, have Project Spartan as a finished project that's out on the market, and then work backwards and show people how to build Project Spartan. So, like, this is how we built the characters, this is how we built the world, this is how we did all these things. And after you watch that, you end up with your own Project Spartan or whatever. So that's my personal brand. But, definitely doing like market analysis, figuring out like what your story is, I think would be a great place to start. Because if you look at a lot of the XR like influencers that are out there right now, they have some story that backs it up. Like, you have some people that do AR filters on what is it called? Snapchat, I think it is, or there's a name for it. I forgot the name of it. That's how much I like don't pay attention to AR, which is terrible. But they have like makeup influencers that use their makeup influencer power and their backstory there to then do augmented reality filters. Or you have people that work in like the automotive industry that use that background to then make VR, car, truck, and mechanical simulations and different things like that. So I think finding your personal story and what you connect with, and then tying that to an XR brand is probably the best way to go. And it makes it feel more real too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I completely agree with that. Let's see here. The questions are coming in hot.
I see
So,
them like going up the chain. I'm like, oh wow, okay.
I know. As you're answering one, two more pop up. So, yeah, the next one is a mix. So I can take the first two and then you can take the third one. This is the three in one. How many
Okay.
days a week? How long is the class? What are the class timings? So the classes, depending on which program you go with, they're twice a week for our 10-week programs during weekdays. Whether it's Mondays and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, that depends on which program. In terms of class times, we have three different time slots. So we have a 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, a 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as a 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, each class is an hour and a half. So you mentioned that Shuk mentioned that he works from 8 to 5. So we can definitely accommodate for that. The second piece is the fee the same for domestic and internationals? Yes, that's the as I mentioned in the slides. The fees are the same. The only difference is if you live in one of the provinces where our Canadian partners are located, the universities charge their tuitions in Canadian dollars. That would be the only difference. Other than that, it's the same fee. And then this is the third one. Is this course or does this course teach about HoloLens AR?
Yeah. So unfortunately, no. The AR segment of the course goes through Vuforia. Um, I don't know if that's compatible with HoloLens. I don't have one. I've never played around on a HoloLens. But the course material specifically itself isn't like, hey, we're going to show you how to do this on HoloLens AR. It says this is how you're going to build your AR application using the Vuforia engine within Unity. So whether that's applicable or not, I think would be some research that you would have to either do on your own or connect with an instructor with. But for the AR segment, we use Vuforia.
Yeah, definitely. And that was, I think you touched on it, the thing I was going to mention. If learning about HoloLens AR is something that you want to do, you can definitely utilize the 10 hours of one-on-one time to have our instructors kind of go through that with you and teach you about the HoloLens AR as well. So, perfect. The next one, um, I have a crazy newbie question. What's the difference between 3D VR and AR?
Yeah. So Unity 3D development, the best way to describe it is like think about video games. So it's a 3D game. There's 3D objects within the space. You're not going to have to like put on a headset or anything like that to play it. So for the 3D version, we do like a space shooter game, which is, you could play that through your PC, and it's just like a space game. Um, you create like the 3D objects, so you make like the 3D robot, but you don't have to tie anything to it. It's what we're used to whenever we play like a PC game or a video game. Like those are like 3D developments. 2D development would be something like old school Mario. Like old school Mario is a 2D game, to put it in perspective. VR, virtual reality, is typically you're going to have to put on a headset for it, or like Ro was saying, you put it on your phone, but then you put it inside like the Google Cardboard, and it's going to create the virtual space that then you can interact with, but everything is within that virtual space. Augmented reality takes your physical environment and does a rendering over your physical environment to create something virtual. Um, so, like, holograms are a good example of like augmented reality because you can see them in the physical world, but they are a non physical thing. They're like virtual. Um, what's another one? Anytime you see people who like take a video of something and then they put like a UFO in the background or like a creature coming up from the sewer, that's augmented reality. All the face filters on like Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook, all of that is augmented reality because it's taking your physical face and then putting like a digital mask over it to make it look different. So that's the best way to describe it. So virtual reality would be like the whole space is virtual, everything inside of that space, like nothing is physical. Augmented reality is like it still exists in the physical world, and there's just like an augmented or digital filter over certain areas that you designate.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, there's no crazy questions here, so
Yeah,
feel
not at
free
all.
to throw them in. Perfect. And here we go. Another question from Sarah. Do any of the CS instructors have experience with immersive storytelling or writing copy for immersive storytelling? I'm asking from a concept designer point of view.
I I don't know specifically. I think the best person that to reach out to would be some of our design instructors. So the one that pops up the most is like Aletha Singleton, I think is her name. She has a ton of design experience, and like I know she's done storyboarding before, so that would be something that you could probably like connect with her or them on. But just generally speaking, the XR design and prototyping does focus more on like storyboarding, ideation, storytelling experience because you're focusing on the design of the XR experiences. XR dev is going to focus more on like the C sharp programming and how do you bring that experience to life. Um, so if storyboarding and storytelling is something that you want to do, definitely if you're a concept designer, maybe reach out or get more information about the design and prototyping course, because that'll probably like suit your skill set more because it is going to focus on like the design aspects, like how do you create these spaces, how do we story tell within it. The design and prototyping doesn't really touch on C sharp as much because you're not worried about bringing it to life. You just want to design it within that space. Whereas the dev, like I was saying, is going to focus on like, okay, it's designed and it's in the space, but how do we interact with it? How do we bring it to life? How do we manipulate it and do all these other things to it?
Yeah, definitely. And Sarah, I mean, we mentioned it throughout the session as well. If you want to reach out to a member of our admissions team, we can definitely connect you with either one of our student ambassadors who has gone through the XR design program, as well as one of our instructors to kind of really get into the details with you of exactly what you can expect and what can come out of, the XR design program for sure. Perfect. And here we go. What is the best entry point for the kindergartners, so to speak, where to access the free course content to get your feet wet?
Yeah, so it's all online. So I would say before you even do like any of like the workshops or anything like that, just take a look at Circuit Stream online. So if you go to YouTube and type in Circuit Stream, you can see like Demo Day, which is one of Circuit Stream's bigger events where learners get to participate in like showcasing some of their projects. So if you type in Circuit Stream Demo Day, I think we've had 12 of them. Circuit Stream has had 12 demo days. You could just go back and like see like some of the projects that people come out of both XR dev or designer prototyping doing, and they're showcasing it. We also just had our first pitch day. So you'll see like more of like the pitch day is more focused on like people coming out of the boot camp. So you'll see some more advanced projects that have had more time to consensualize and develop. I would take a look at that just to kind of see like what people are coming out of the courses with. To find workshops, I would probably pass it to Ro, but I think all the workshops are listed on the Circuit Stream homepage, if I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you actually head over to our website, up at the top on the right-hand corner, there's the workshops page. All of the workshops that we host, they're all recorded. You can register for them. We'll send you the recording, and that's really a great way for you to kind of get in, do some things with Unity, whether it's designing or developing, depending on what workshop speaks to you, essentially. It gets your feet wet, it gets you working and creating something at the end as well. And also you get a feel for what Circuit Stream is about in terms of the instructions, the instructors. You can meet the different instructors and their teaching styles. So that would be a great place to go to kind of get your feet wet. And just keep in mind our 10-week programs are all beginner friendly as well. So you don't really need to kind of take extra steps and get yourself to a certain position before enrolling into our program. So just keep that in mind as well.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And then I think we are at the end almost. This would be the last one. Do you have any statistics about the passing rates at the associate programmer certification after completing the Unity game development boot camp? In terms of hard numbers, we can definitely get some to you, Liliana. What I'll do is I will grab your email. I'll send you an email with the statistics. I do have to get that from our student services team. But I know that, with our one-on-one times in the boot camp and everything, we do help you when before you take that exam, we do help you prepare for it. And being a Unity official training partner, we actually help
hmm
put those exams together. So it's kind of like cheating, but not really, where our instructors kind of know the questions that are going to be on your exam. So we can definitely prepare you for that. And there's a high passing rate, but in terms of, again, an actual number, I'll get that to you. And then what is the difference between taking the training with your university partners and taking the training directly with you? So in terms of the difference, there's two differences. One, if you go with any of our Canadian partners, you pay the tuition in Canadian dollars. And two, if you go with any of the university partners, you also get a certification from that university. So, for example, University of Toronto will give you a certification as well as Circuit Stream. In terms of the program itself, it's run by Circuit Stream. It's the same cohort. It's our instructors. So whether you go through us directly or the university, it won't make a difference in terms of the quality of education you get. Again, same cohort, same instructors. It's just that piece of an extra certification or certification from university partner, as well as potential for Canadian dollars rather than USD, which these days it's looking kind of sad, if I'm being honest with you. So that's a huge advantage if you have that ability. Perfect. So I think that was the end of our questions. Let me check just in the chat here. I think that was it. I will give another 30 seconds or so. I think we are good to go. Perfect. Yeah. Well,
Uh, I
thank you. Oh,
I think we
actually.
just got one more.
Oh, yeah, we did. Um, Office hours are where we go into the university. So everything is done online with the program, including the office hours. They're hosted live and online. We host them on weekdays from 1 to 2 hours per day. Um, Again, just on weekdays, and you log in online, kind of like this session. So even with our university partners or through Circuit Stream directly with any of our programs, you don't have to physically go anywhere. You
hmm
can do it all online. So
Yep.
that's yeah, keeping in you know with the times, we're all online.
Yeah. And I would just add to that too. So all of the office hours are listed in Discord. There's a channel called Office Hours. And so you'll know like Arky, the student experience coordinator, she sends out like the calendar for the week on Monday, and it lists all the instructors and when their office hours are going to be. And then whenever their office hours go live, they'll post like a Zoom link or a Google link, and they'll say like Monday's office hours are now open. Join here, and it'll have the link. So anybody, whether you're a university or whether you're joining from outside of the university, can join any office hours. They're first come, first serve. So if you have a question, join early, join fast, so that way you get priority seating. But the instructors do try to make sure they like budget time. So like if there's 10 people in there, they're not going to give one person 40 minutes and everybody else gets 2 minutes. They try to like make sure everybody gets equal time as they join.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, again, all of our alumni, as well as current students and any future students, get lifetime access to these office hours, which is huge. I mean,
Yeah, I still use them. I'm in the office hours pretty regularly still.
Well, I mean, it's a great resource to have, right? Even after you're done your program, you can, if you're working on a project, let's say like Monday, you have a professional job, you're working on this project, you have questions, you can come back in and know that, the answers and the information that you're getting, first of all, you get them quickly, you don't have to go
Hmm.
surfing the web to find answers, and also you get accurate, up to date, expert answers rather than,
Actually.
yeah, from
Hmm.
sources that are kind of fishy a little bit. So,
Yeah, for sure. It's been great. I mean, I think I cannot stress enough, like if everybody leaves like remembering nothing but what I said, like the circuit stream community is like the biggest plus. Like you always have access to the material. You can always connect with people in the chat. You can always join the office hours. The instructors are super personable. Like Nakisa's hilarious. Mitch is super helpful. Indica is like a walking dictionary. Like I still haven't stumped him with like anything I've thrown at him. He's just like, "Oh yeah, you just do this," and I'm like, "I've been looking at this for 9 hours, and you're telling me I could have fixed this in like 2 seconds?" He's like, "Yeah, it's no big deal." I'm like, "Thanks." So, yeah, it's been great.
yeah, Indica's definitely a freak of nature, if you ask me. In terms of his knowledge of XR, it's just crazy. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, day on. It's just he said just one lifetime though, in terms of the accent. Perfect. I think that was it for the questions. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. It was great to have everyone, and it was a pleasure to have you, Monday. It's always great
Thanks for having me.
speaking with you. And yeah, I will mention Monday is also one of our student ambassadors, like we mentioned. So if any of you want to connect with him, that's also an option to have a chat if any questions come up. We hope to hear from you guys. I hope that you guys are all safe and well. And thanks again, and see you next time.